Welcome to What's Your Story, where we, Jaime Marco,
and Stan Brown,
delve into the extraordinary lives of everyday people.
Listen in as we uncover the unique tales that shape who we are,
one story at a time.
Hey, let's get ready to explore today's story.
Let's do it. Hi, Dad.
Oh, hello. Having a good day, I see.
It's been an interesting day. I've got a lot of work done, and it's an office day, which is nice. I'm getting a lot of work done, but we had today, and I'm sure any listeners that are out there, one of our local elementary schools and middle schools had a lockdown, a real lockdown drill. So the middle school had a threat, they locked them down, and then the elementary school, because it's close, had a shelter in place.
How were you notified?
So it wasn't my school, goodness, but there's moms all dialed in and Facebook. And so someone posted on Facebook, and then I just looked at it a minute ago, and there was now 100 and something comments about it.
Yeah, but I think many counties, they've got pretty good, tough policies as far as letting things in the school itself. So no more details available?
Nothing as of yet. So but it's nerve-wracking, it's just every day. And it's, whoever, if this is like a joke to some kid out there, if they think it's funny, there should be consequences for that. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's not okay. And this is why social media is the worst. But someone just said to me, he said, don't you remember when we were in school, there was bomb threats all the time? I'm like, well, I don't really remember it. But then he said it, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe people did do that. It's like, why is it funny? Why is that you don't want to take a test, or you just want to be a jerk?
Well, you're attacking a symptom. There's a bigger situation. It's a bigger cultural situation, bigger cultural shift has happened in the past couple of decades, and that's topic for a whole different discussion.
I know. I'm just stressed, but anyway. So speaking of anxiety, our guest today,
rhythmic breathing, 4-4-4. No. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4.
Well, our guest today is going to talk about this because she works with people that have high anxiety. And so she'll talk.
That's us.
I know. It's perfect. So what, you said you were going to tell me something today, and I know she'll be on in 1 minute. Do you want to do it in the beginning or the end?
Should do it without her being in, I suppose. No.
Yeah.
It's funny talking about sign-offs. It seems in the past, every successful, long-standing program has always had some sort of a signature sign-off. For example, "Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are," or "and that's the way it is," or "Hello."
Ooh, Carol Burnett.
Or "and that's the rest of the story."
Yeah.
So hoping to follow in those footsteps, I plan to announce my pick for our sign-off.
Oh, geez.
At the end of today's story. So, spoiler alert, stand by, stay tuned, don't touch that dial, wait for the credits to roll. I'm confident you will not be disappointed. And
by the way, she's
not
here.
Not yet been vetted by HR. And that's all.
Well, we have a disclaimer that our podcast is explicit. So we just made sure that it was on there. So we're careful what we're going to say. But should we welcome our guest in?
Absolutely. Good time.
We both know her. We both love her. And now everyone else will as well, too. So let's bring her on in. Super
lovely.
The fanciest office, too, by the way. Just wait till you see. If she's going to put her camera on. She might not. Hi.
Hello.
We can't hear you.
Sure.
It's okay. Oh, I love your shirt. I want that shirt.
I wore this for you, Jaime, because I've thought to myself, I'm gonna give myself a bet how quickly she mentions my shirt. So when I got dressed today, I'm like, she's gonna love this.
What do I owe you for you winning your own bet?
Too much. I know.
I
don't know whether I won the bet or whether I lost it. So I'm figuring that out.
Are we dressed for a Pilates class or something here? What? No, I like it. It's good. It's good. That's not a bad thing.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm not going to take fashion advice from you. So.
Exactly. If the viewer, you may not be able to see him right now.
I'm going to go change.
But she is 100% correct. Shana, you're right. We're recording, just so you know. We jump in, we're recording right away.
Yeah,
I was talking about you, and I was saying how fitting this moment is because I'm not sure if you've been on the socials in the last hour.
No, I've been working. Why? What's going on?
So our two of our local schools, I'm not going to say it out loud on here because it's a national thing, but two of our local schools are on lockdown.
Oh, you're kidding.
So it's thank goodness it's not, I mean, it's horrible. It's any school. It's not our school that my child goes to. And hopefully that doesn't ever happen. But I was saying that it's like I got a text. It was like, hey, have you seen this? Then I go on the socials and you see it all there. And I'm literally like just sweating. The anxiety has like come over my body, and I'm like, I need Jonna. My dad's like, breathe, and I was like,
Not that kind of breathing.
yeah, not everything. But I mean, I'm not trying to laugh about it, but it is. It's like every freaking day, there's like another thing that just drives you mad. And Shauna, you get to help people with that kind of stuff. So our listeners
Yeah.
know they may know who you are, they may not know who you are. But before we even get started, I like to ask this question on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being that today is your best day you've ever lived. Like there is not a worry in your world. To 1 being you should not be peopling and you should probably go curl up in a ball in the corner. What's your number today, Shauna?
I give it a decent 8.
Ooh, I love it. Well, I was higher. I did do Pilates this morning, but then recently it dropped based on the current status of the news in our community. So, Shauna, I'm going to be looking forward to you help me lift my number up a little bit. We're so happy to have you as our guest. We know you and love you and
Hold
for a
on.
long time.
Is a decent 8 the same as 8 plus?
Yeah, I think I might equate that to an 8 plus. Yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah. And thank you for having me. I'm honored to be one of your guests.
So
I'm guessing one of your first-ish guests as you've just started this.
Oh, wow.
Or have you been
I
busy behind the scenes and
we have
I'm
been
like
pretty
way down
busy.
your list? I mean, be careful how you answer that.
You
well,
are
just flew back
never
in from Beverly Hills, so I'm not sure we can't divulge that yet.
You were never way down my list. We will say that you are airing in the first few months of our newly released podcast. So we're pretty pumped. It doesn't matter what number you are on the list. It just matters that we get a chance to speak with you, and we are grateful, especially like, listen, we know you personally. I'm not going to divulge into how I know you personally, but I really want for our audience to understand like who you are and what you do. So share with us a little bit about like Shauna. Who is Shauna and what do you do outside of just make me smile?
Well, first of all, I was teasing, right? So let's just put that out there. And because I'm English, I'm allowed to tease because I have a very dry sense of humor. I
You're
like
English?
to, yeah, well, the last time I checked, I was. I
We
mean,
won't hold it against you.
so yeah, but so who am I'm just Shana, really. I'm just trying to, get through this thing called life as best I can, and sprinkle a little bit of wonderful to people that happen to pass my path.
Well, you're
Um,
very successful at that.
yeah, well, I try. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I also am a business owner. I've been doing the same thing for about 15 years. So I'm a certified hypnotist. I like to call myself a subconscious mind expert.
Hmm.
Um, with that. And my specialty really is to help people to overcome their anxiety and find their own unshakable confidence so that they then can thrive in their own lives, whether it's professionally or personally.
Wow.
And that's what I do most of the time with my work week. And sometimes it goes into my weekends too, but I'm very passionate about helping people.
Briefly, how did the exposure to that particular world start with you?
I didn't hear that, Stan. You cracked up a little bit. Do you mind repeating it?
I've got Jamie's new microphone. It's probably defective. I said, basically, go back 15 years. How did you get introduced to that particular profession?
Well, so going back even more to that, so personally, I've always had a very strong interest in how the mind works, helping people. I did a psychology degree. So I was always very interested in that type of thing. In my first career, following my degree, I sort of fell into recruitment, and I used to recruit people into the top legal firms in London. It was a very high pressured but very enjoyable job.
So kind of a headhunter.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, I guess so. But also recruiting. You know, I was really in the trenches, interviewing people, prepping them for their interview, holding their hand and coaching them the whole way through. It wasn't just high level people that I was recruiting, but it was all the way through. So imagine a large law firm and all the people that they need to make that a success.
That's a big spectrum.
I would be in there recruiting. So and it was a fabulous career. I thrived. I loved it because I was helping people. And it was great. But then I needed to step away, because at that point in my life, I now married and I want to start having a family. That kind of job, and as involved as I was in that career, it was, let's put it this way, there was a lot of client entertainment that happened. I wasn't able, and I couldn't see that how I could have a family, take care of babies, or actually even fall pregnant at that point, living the lifestyle I was living. So I stepped away, and now I'm looking for something to do that's more flexible, that I can do for myself. I always had an entrepreneurial spirit as well. I always saw myself as wanting to do my own thing. At the same time, now this is where it gets interesting, because I always say everything happens for a reason. I was struggling with IBS. I don't know if you know what that is. But back in the day, the connection between IBS and anxiety it just, there was no connection. So you have these symptoms, you go to your doctor, they either prescribe you medication, or they say, don't eat this stuff, eat this stuff, or eat this stuff, you know, whatever. And you're sent away with a list of things that you shouldn't be eating and a list of things that you should be eating. Nobody talks to you about how you can manage your symptoms and from an emotional standpoint. At that time, the symptoms were causing me anxiety, and the anxiety was causing my symptoms, but I didn't know. What I did know was I didn't feel good in my body. I didn't feel good emotionally. And it was getting worse. It was getting out of control. In fact, I started having panic attacks, but I didn't even know what they were. It was just getting larger in my life.
Were you working at that? You had left the first job. Were you working at this time when the IBS hit?
When the IBS started, I was working. When the anxiety started, I was working. And that contributed to the reason why I left the job.
Okay.
Right.
And then you had kids, right? You were pregnant. So add that to the list of who's ever had a child with anxiety.
But if you like the job so much, there had to be a trigger that went from liking the job to triggering the IBS.
Right. So with the job, as much as I loved it, it was very high pressure. So keeping up with that pressure created anxiety, but I didn't know it. It was, you know, unless somebody actually points out to you that actually what you're suffering with is this, you don't know. You just think that this is how you're doing life.
Sure.
Right. So, and I'm young at the time. I mean, I'm in my, I think it started when I was in my early to mid 20s where the symptoms started. And so you just, when it becomes part of who you are, you don't even realize it for what it is. You just accept it.
You're on the treadmill. The treadmill keeps moving. Absolutely.
Correct. Now here's where the next part happens. So I'm worse. I'm having panic attacks. My symptoms are overwhelming. Nothing's working. And somebody that I knew suggested I go and have some hypnotherapy. And I thought they were crazy. I didn't understand what a crazy hypnotherapist could do for me and my stomach issues, right? Because I'm not joining the dots at all. But anyway, I was desperate. So I find one locally and I go. I have this experience that was so not what
Transformational. Sure.
it was not what I expected. It was, I learned so much. Was it transformational? I'm not sure the first session was transformational for me because I remember coming out of there, having my mind blown at the experience itself. And I came out there and I'm like, that was amazing. And I can do it better.
I love it. I love, hey,
So,
but that's how things start. I love that.
right,
You're like, you
right.
were inspired, like you thought it was cool, and you're like, I'm gonna do it even better. I love that.
Yeah. And at the time, there was what's his name? Hang on, I've got one of his books on my
Is it
bookshelf.
Silva?
What?
Is
Hang
it
on.
Jose Silva?
No, wait a minute. What's his name? Oh, darn it.
As I look to my,
Hang on, hang on, hang on. I need his name. Pause. We're gonna where is it?
It'll come to you. It'll just,
Oh, Paul McKenna.
oh,
Do you know Paul McKenna?
I
no.
do not.
Okay. So Paul McKenna is an English guy and he trained in neuro-linguistic programming back in the day. He was like one of the first people to make it almost like famous back in England, in the UK. And he had a TV program and he would be televised literally going to meet people who had issues, phobias, fears, whatever. And on TV very quickly would transform their issue from whatever it was to, oh my God, they're cured. Okay. And this was a bit of a buzz at the time. So now I'm visualizing myself being a mini Paul McKenna
Sure.
doing this stuff, right? And I really like that idea of being able to help people so quick and this.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a buzz that was going on as well at the time. And I didn't realize that a lot of what he did was hypnotic in nature because you just don't, what you don't know, right? So I decided to look into it. I thought, and by the way, my anxiety and my panic attack got completely resolved by going to have these sessions. And I then started training. And
Under him,
that's the
or
story behind that.
were you training under him, and what was the process?
Oh no, I didn't know. At the time, he wasn't training. So the process was I found myself a school that had really very good reputation. It was important to me to
Sure.
get as good of an education and an understanding as possible. I picked a school that was, very highly rated. And I actually ended up taking a lot of like diploma. I think there were 3 diplomas, certifications, all
Wow.
like really in depth. And it was a really fantastic
Now, this
training
is
and
way before
experience.
online courses, so like in-person
This
classes, I
was in
assume.
person.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it took me about a year. So what would happen is every month and remember the kids were really young at this point. So my husband was thrilled at this, but once a month for a weekend,
You would
I got
leave.
to go,
Full
which was
disclaimer, I know her
amazing.
husband and I know sarcasm.
So he was thrilled, right? He was
But the
thrilled.
question,
But
but Sean, the question: how did the kids do in that house alone for the week?
oh, well, they survived. I mean, but yeah, so I got to, have me time and that was wonderful because when kids are young,
Yeah, you need
that's a treat. Right.
yeah.
So that was 15 years ago.
Very fortunate
Wow.
that first experience was such a positive one for you that kind
Oh,
of kicked everything up. That's huge.
yeah.
It's so, I'm just, oh my God, I have so many questions. And I've already asked you many questions just as being your friend. But, so having that skill and navigating parenthood has got to be incredible. Like, how, I mean, especially just like, so I have a young one and I'm seeing her experience anxiety for the first time, like in the last
Mm.
week. Like, it's almost like crippling anxiety about certain things that have happened, just in the world. And she's learning more at school because kids come and they talk about different things. And so I'm starting to see that. How do you balance that by raising children, handling your own anxiety, and then also taking that off of other people? Like, how, like, wow. I don't even know that's a question. I just kind of put it out there, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, so you're asking me back then when I had young family.
Yes.
How did I cope with building my business, learning, and putting all that into the timeline of
Yeah.
running a family and being
Yeah.
a mom and being
Yeah.
I think that it just happened naturally because I didn't know how else to do it, so I just had to figure it out. But I was so excited about what I was learning. It didn't feel like it was um a huge weight. It was more like excitement of wanting to, absorb this information and practice. The more I practiced, the better I got. The kids, it's overwhelming to be a young mother and juggle and whatever. I was lucky in the fact that I didn't have a job that I needed to be at, because I was working for somebody else. So for me, that was freedom, right? Because I could do things when I wanted to do it and integrate it into the family life. So it didn't feel, and I could manage when I did things and how I did it and be there for the kids, which was really at the end of the day, at the time, was the most important thing for me.
Did you practice your stuff out on them?
Over the years, I've tried really, really hard to hypnotize them and make them who I want them to be, and it has not worked. I try it on my husband. That doesn't work either.
Why do you think that is? Like, you think it's because like it's just like you're too close
No,
to.
actually, I'm joking. I mean, you can't do this work on people that you are very close with.
Got it. Because you know
Um,
them too well and they know you. It's just it's
yeah, and you can't. I mean, even friends, it's not advisable. They tell you, in part of your training, you should not be helping people that you are close with,
But you
family,
but you can
friends.
give them concepts on the periphery,
Correct.
like you can control your emotions, don't be a victim, take charge. Well, the mind-body connection has received so much information over the past couple of decades, everybody's aware of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, people, I'm happy to help always, but running, sessions and the way that I would with clients, that's not the way. But plus also my family, my kids just roll their eyes every time I speak. So,
Give them a couple of years, that's all.
I
a
don't do
couple
that
of more
anymore,
years.
do I? I don't do that for you. I think I stopped doing that, what, like last year?
But
I think
what's really great, Shana, a lot of people you meet, we meet high level people, wealthy people, intermediate people, all demographics. A lot of people are just stagnant in their growth pattern. They're tapped off. It's plateau. If they're having an issue, it's almost a breakthrough issue. If they can work through an issue of this nature, it kind of frees them from the fear they've had. It opens up new pathways, and you see somebody actually blossom and do things they didn't think were possible.
And you're so right. The main issue is that people have to self-reflect. People tend to feel at a certain age or a certain level of
Development.
what's develop, but they kind of feel that they don't need help, or that that they're stuck in their own ways and they can't see outside of themselves, and they feel, well, I've done so well, I don't need help, right? The ego gets in the way. But what they're not realizing is, they're not sleeping at night, or their health, their blood pressure is high,
Sure.
or all these other indicators are there, but yet their ego won't allow them to ask for help, or they feel like they're beyond it or they're above it, maybe. But it's when something critically happens that they have to start thinking, well, things have got to change. Where do I even start? Where do I go? Who can I ask that I can trust, that I value what it is that they can give me, and can determine what it is that I need, so that it actually creates the change that I'm looking for.
So, in addition, you can also work on breaking bad habits like obesity, overeating, smoking addictions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, smoking cessation was probably back in the day when I first trained. That was my bread and butter. Just imagine 15 years ago, everybody's trying to give up smoking. because, right, it's very different now. Most people have given up smoking, even though it's so interesting. Last week, I had 3 people reach out to me for smoking cessation. And I don't know what was going on last week, but
We were just at
that's
a
quite
wedding.
high.
We were just at a wedding and we were appalled at how many people were smoking, not like vaping, which is also still pretty bad, but like actual real cigarettes. Like it's so funny. My daughter calls them smokerettes. Mommy, why do they have smokerettes in their hands? I think it's like the cutest thing in the
Oh,
world, but like also it's like she's noticing it. So I think I'm not changing that. But like I mean, like a lot of people were at this wedding outside that were just smoking cigarettes. I'm like, what year is it? It's incredible. But my point is that like that doesn't just happen after. I mean, like if I was a smoker and I came to you and I was like, all right, Sean, I want to quit smoking. Does that happen after one session?
so the way that I do smoking cessation is different to how I would help someone with anxiety. So my smoking cessation package is actually 3 sessions.
Wow.
And it happens on the second session, they walk out a non-smoker. The
Mm.
third session is there just in case they need it, but very rarely do they need it.
Yeah.
And even more rare, they need it for the smoking because it's typically done. But I offer that third session because life happens.
Yeah.
And, I always say, look, I'm here. I've gifted you this third session. Come back to me and let me help you if you feel like you need it. But my aim is during the first and second session, I've sort of given them enough tools to help them to deal with the ups and downs of life as part of the smoking cessation. Because very typically, the reason why when somebody comes to see me because they want to give up smoking, they've tried to give up multiple times. They've always gone back to it. So my job is to find out, well, what is the reason why you keep going back? And let's resolve that issue, which is normally stress, or that they are not dealing with their emotions well enough and they're self-soothing with the cigarettes, right? So it's typically falls in one of those 2 categories. So my job really is not to stop them smoking because they've done that before successfully.
Right.
It's to prevent them from going back.
Mm.
So the session 1 and 2 is dealing with helping them easily quit again, but actually going deeper and helping them to live their life so that they don't feel they ever need to go back to it again.
Wow.
What's your success rate?
So every potential non-smoker who contacts me asks me that question. And I'm a very honest person. And I always say, I actually don't know. I'm assuming it's 100% because I've got this third session here, right? That it's on offer. And I always say, come back to me if you need me. It's there. You paid for it. And very few people, but I'm talking 5% of people come back. So I'm assuming out of all those people, they're doing great. And a few of them reach out over the years and, but I can't reach out to I've helped thousands of people. So I don't keep checking on people. And then those few people that come back to me, it's not for the smoking, it's for something else. So I could confidently
That's another
say
bad habit they picked up.
well, it's like, it's stress or it's something's happened and, they just need help, which is fine. So I guess I could confidently say 100%, but caveat with, what I've just explained. I don't know.
What gets them in the mindset that they open up to you? Is it some sort of a relaxation, hypnotic state? They relax a little bit. They can see into themselves. They feel free to talk.
The mindset of giving up smoking
or
just generally?
You, I quit 1,000 times and I finally quit myself. But if I come to you, I probably know what my problem is, but I don't want to verbalize it. So how do you get them into a receptive state where they can either see more of the problem or be receptive to doing what you're suggesting? Which is, I'm sure there's some breathing exercises involved. Just the awareness is not a healthy situation. I mean, you visualize if I breathe in, I'm poisoning myself, for example, in sort of
Can't
negative.
give you all our secrets, Dad. That's why she's talented.
Well, no. I mean, look, it's different for everybody. And it's my job to determine what is the driving force behind it. And then I use that to help them to navigate around it. Plus also the tools that I'm teaching them to help them to, on their own, feel empowered to
It's more than just
make
conversation.
it. Oh, 100%. It's more than just conversation. But what it is also is allowing them to have a journey within themselves so that they can make better choices. And very often you said a comment there, Stan, about, what it is for you. That's a conscious level thought process. The habit and very often the way that we behave is a result of subconscious programming, that as much as we can think that we know consciously what it is that makes us behave in certain ways, it very often isn't that at all. And it's actually not my job to help them to figure out what that is consciously. It's more my job to help them to open up the communication between them and their subconscious mind so that the subconscious can understand that this goal is now what they as in the many parts of them want now, right? And to give that subconscious like an upgrade so that it gets on board and stops sabotaging them in what it is that they want to achieve consciously.
So
So
you have
it's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
So you really have to get to a transformative state for them that they're more receptive to what's happening inside themselves.
Correct.
As a layperson, when one hears hypnotherapy, hypnosis to some degree is involved, of course.
100% have to be. Yeah.
And also post-hypnotic suggestions are used also?
Yes, absolutely. And they are very much aligned with the individual. So I'll, no two sessions are the same. Each one is absolutely individual to that person at that time. So by working with, a client, the sessions that we will have are different each time, depending on what it is that they need in that moment, as long as it relates to the issue that they come to me with, and more importantly, the goal that they want to achieve. So there's so many layers to all of this. It isn't just, oh, close your eyes and relax and let's, let's have fun.
That's not bad either.
It's not that easy. It's not that either. And it also isn't about me. A lot of people have misconceptions about what the experience is like. And they think that I'm going to, control their minds and they're going to be in a catatonic state. And also I'm just going to say a few words that's going to magically make everything disappear and be fantastic. That is a collaborative journey. Right.
It's probably safe to say the vast majority who come, whether of their own accord or on the suggestion of a spouse, they're probably non-believers. It's a subject most people have no awareness of, a conscious of what's going on.
Well, you say that, but I also think that in the last few years since the C word, I think that anxiety has probably seen a massive uptick. I think when we were all forced to be in our homes and start to navigate this, like universal pandemic, that I think it shined a light on a lot of our anxieties, a lot of the things that, we didn't know even existed, like parents and families that had spent all their time together in a home. There's more, and I could be wrong, but I think there's more divorces that have come out of that because you were 100%. So much more together with people. You realize like there's children who are suffering from anxiety, like that. Just when you're with people that much, and you both know me as I'm very outspoken. I love being around people, but when I'm with people all the time, I need to
quiet time,
be with people, And so I would imagine that, and I guess it comes back to a question, that since 2019 that you've seen an uptick in anxiety itself, I would imagine around the world.
Yeah, 100%. I think people become more aware of it, and the self-reflection piece of it, where people, may have been understanding that they didn't feel good at certain times, going through what we all went through. Then it almost brought out our demons. It amplified because of that, lockdown and all the things that we all experienced, the fear and, all the things. It really brought out the worst of ourselves, and we couldn't escape it, right? If you're predisposed to anxiety, it's going to show up. If you're predisposed to, your marriage isn't doing great, you were surviving through it, but now you're together and it's going to blow up in your face, all the things. it really did. It exploded. Forced us to face things that we weren't ready for.
Shana, I think I'm going to get this wrong. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this wrong. But
Okay.
you've left the UK and you've been in the US, I think 12 years. Am I wrong?
13.
13 years. So you've already just celebrated 13, or what? It's already has been 13.
It was 13 back in July.
Okay, 13. And yeah, I was close. I was close.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like as having your own business and doing this, do you feel like it was easier, harder, or there was no difference in being in the US, starting your own business and doing what you're doing and being able to have access to that? Or do you feel like it's the same whether you were there or here?
So, let me think about this. Do you mean like running this business from here or there and what the difference was?
Yeah, maybe. Like
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, do you see any difference in being like starting a business up and like any kind of in two different countries, right? Like, is it different starting there versus starting here? Or do you feel like it's the same that you're able to have the same opportunities? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time that I've been here, and it's difficult for me to give the UK, this the same level of understanding of what it would be like through all these years because I've been here for so long,
It's changed a lot. Sure.
and everything's changed. So I honestly, I don't know. What I do know is that because I work exclusively online, I'm demographics of, where people live if they want to work with me. So I still have a number of clients that live in Europe. I've had people reach out from not just from connections that I have in England, but in different countries, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. I think I've had clients from, as I'm just trying to remember exactly where they were, and people that I have clients that because we can do online sessions if we're working together, they go on vacation or they go visiting their family or wherever. In fact, I've got a client that I'm working with right now who lives locally, but sessions are online. But she's over in Eastern Europe right now visiting family, and we're having sessions. Wow. Still, there's no need to pause. As long as she has the time, we just continue. She's just in a different location. Time zone, yes, but it makes no difference to me.
Do you think it was always like that, or you think that COVID allowed that to happen more?
Well, so I closed my office because of that. It's been 2 years since I've been online 100%. And so what I noticed was after COVID, so I've had an office the whole time I've been doing this, an in-person office. And after, obviously COVID, now everybody's online. So after COVID, I couldn't convince local people to come back into the office. About 20% were happy to come back. The rest of them wanted to continue sessions online because it was more convenient. The only thing I can't do when working online is touch people through the screen, but I don't touch people in sessions anyway.
We're working on that.
Are you? The technology of touch.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams when you first started that online therapy would even work?
So because I moved here pretty quick, but I think I had been practicing for 3 years when I moved here, I still had clients back home. In fact, I hadn't got clients here yet. So I was still so I use Skype. So I was always really online.
So you did it before it was popular, sure.
Yeah. And Skype was really unstable at the time. So if I could manage that, I could manage anything online, right? Because now it's,
How could you tell whether the instability was the client or Skype? What's great is to see you picked the perfect shirt for today because you do personal transformation. People have the will and the ability to change their own lives. And you choose life, you can choose non-anxiety. It just takes someone like you're a life coach, a guide to some degree, and they can control that. They don't have to fall into the path of darkness or slip off to the side. It's huge.
I love that. That's I'm going to coin that phrase.
Billboard. Thank you. Yeah.
I've got a session coming up in 10 minutes. I have to leave.
Yeah.
I'm giving it.
I love it. So what's next for you, Shauna? Like what is next in your world? I know we talk about this all the time, but maybe there's something you want to share with our listeners.
Yeah, so I have got a number of things that or projects that I'm working on right now. I mean, always hoping to help anybody who wants to reach out, right, one to one. That's always is always going to be there, but to manage my business effectively, I'm sort of moving into more of group session work so that I can help more people more effectively in a scenario where it's a membership where people come in, and monthly I run group sessions on Zoom. And each month there's going to be a different kind of emphasis on based on feedback that I've been gathering for some time of what people really want. It's a very special energy that is created when there's a group of people together wanting the same thing, right? When you want to get better, you want to heal, you have there's something subconscious, I guess, or something unspoken that's pretty magical that happens when you bring a group of people together. I've witnessed it many, many times when I've run sessions, and I've been part of sessions as well. And so one of my projects I'm working on is actually creating that. I'm really excited about that, and it's also going to be cost effective, very cost effective. So I want my one of my goals is to help as many as possible, and I never want cost to be in the way of that. So that's really near and dear to my heart, and something I'm working really hard at right now. And the other project that I'm working on is actually training other hypnotherapists and coaches to be able to work in a framework that I've developed. So I'm going to be training that really does take the pressure off of them so that they can create the same transformational change that I do with my clients without having to worry too much about, well, what if I can't get the result? Right? I've developed a framework of that they can follow. So I'm developing that training at the moment as well.
They can be like a facilitator, basically.
Sorry, me
They can
being
be
a
almost like a facilitator with their people,
yeah.
as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in the mind-body connection. I think relaxation is one of the major keys of keeping your clear head, freeing yourself from a lot of problems. Have you ever had any experience, I'm sure you have, working with acupressure, which is the precursor to acupuncture, where certain parts of the body, certain pressure points affect even mental calmness or different behavior within the body itself?
So there is a technique called EFT, or emotional freedom technique, that actually I'm a practitioner of, where I teach my clients what those specific spots are, so that when you apply the pressure to those spots and you run a self-hypnotic technique at the same time, you're able to very, very quickly completely calm down the nervous system and release the heightened stressor, like whether it's anxiety, overwhelm, whatever it is. And it works incredibly well. It's actually part of my process that I put all my clients through. I learned it, I'm going to say about 13 years ago. I perfected it about 13 years ago. I tried it on myself first because it's a bit out the box, a bit weird. And I couldn't believe the results I was getting. And actually, going back to my kids, I taught it to my kids as young kids at the time, who were both going through a public speaking competition, and they were really nervous about it. And I taught it to them to help them to manage their nervousness. And they both placed in that competition. In fact, I think your sister was the judge on one of my kids
Oh, really?
back then
Maybe
at
is that why
Willis.
they placed? No.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I am listening to you saying that you've been doing this for 13 years. And I'm starting to get a little annoyed because I've known you for 11 years and I have known you through some pretty big stressors in my life, getting engaged, getting married, moving to Florida,
Am I in
buying
trouble?
a house, having a baby, and you've never, ever introduced it to me. So next
She
lunch,
can't come to you and tell you're a nervous wreck. You've got to go to her and tell you're a nervous wreck. Hold on. I love the comments are great, but you're not getting out of this podcast without giving us and some of our fellow listeners kind of an anxiety hack, little tip here, listen, we can use a little kind of a teaser because at the end of this, you're going to put her, aren't you going to put her information, her contact information, and everything, Jamie?
yeah, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
It's a little
So,
little hack.
okay. Well, I mean, I can walk you through a little technique that I use when I get overwhelmed
Okay.
and my mentalness, my negative crap
Okay.
is going on, and I can't. When like you feel so in your head and you got all these thoughts going around, and as much all you want them to do is just can I curse or not? No,
Yes.
Yeah,
just
it's like,
shut the
yeah,
fuck up,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it won't. And the more you're trying, the
Gets
worse it
worse.
is, right?
I mean,
So,
that's like every day that ends in Y. So continue.
all right.
Does this involve any
So
amber colored liquor?
only if you want it to. So this is a really great way to shut your mind down really, really fast. And I call it shift out and shut up, because that's exactly what it is. We're going to shift it out and we're going to shut it up. Okay. So I'll walk you through it, and then you let me know, what. Now, your mind might not be overwhelmed right now, so it might be quite difficult for you to determine how well this works. But if you just kind of in the moment, out of 10, like you said to me at the very beginning, out of 10, okay, so we'll do that. 0 means you feel great and calm and there's nothing. It's lovely. Okay. 10 is like overwhelmed, mind won't shut up, and it's crazy, like really intense. So before you do anything, you want to give yourself a number so then when you come back to it, you remember how you felt. Okay. So before you do it, you give yourself a number.
Okay.
And then just stare right in front of you. Don't look at me at the screen, look at something else, and just focus on that one spot right in front of you now. And almost as if you could have a little bit of tunnel vision. So nothing else matters. Soften your gaze a little bit, almost have like you can see the peripheral vision, but just imagine now that peripheral vision is getting closer and closer so that you can actually allow yourself to have that tunnel vision right now. So you're staring intently on that spot. You can almost let your gaze soften if you want to. And just as you're there, just roll your shoulders back, let them settle down, take a nice deep breath and just let it go, but keep your eyes focused. All right, now very, very slowly allow more and more of that peripheral vision into your awareness, but keeping your eyes completely fixed on that focus spot right in front of you. And just gradually let more and more into your peripheral vision to the point where now you can see kind of to the sides, and you just know that all of that vision field is filled up. Now, what I want you to do is make it go even wider so you can allow what's behind you to enter your vision field. Now, you can't see it, but your imagination remembers what's there. So now almost allow yourself to have that 360 view. When you have that, just another deep breath in and let your shoulders rise up and drop down again. Now you have that, I want you to bring your vision slowly back into that center point. Do it slow and gradual as you're breathing nice and calmly. And yes, I do want you to breathe. And just bit by bit, allow the vision to come back to center where nothing else matters apart from that one spot that you're highly focused on right now. Tunnel vision, focusing on that one spot. Another nice deep breath in. Let your shoulders roll back and down and let it all go on the exhale. All right. And come back to me and notice what you're thinking about right now.
I feel like a cigarette. Only kidding. Actually, it calms things down, and you really almost feel like a white spot.
Right.
It's a singular focus situation.
And your mind, what's happening there?
It was like, I wasn't thinking about anything. Nothing.
Right. Which is why it's called shift out and shut up, because it absolutely shuts everything down. There's nothing left.
I don't know if that would have worked with somebody who wasn't as lovely as you or had the voice like yours, or I mean, if like, I don't know, I think that you have a very incredible gift, and I think that that was amazing, and wow. Like,
Well, thank you.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
very thankful that you gave the process before saying what it was. By saying it alone without the process would have been a little edgy.
Well, that's right, because if you don't explain what you're going to expect, then your mind goes on a search for what the hell's happening? What am I supposed to be doing? I don't understand this, right? It's really important to give a little bit of an explanation without actually telling you what you will experience and what you will feel like at the end. Because if I don't match that, then you're going to say, oh, no, I didn't feel that.
yeah.
Right. That's why I said to you, what are you noticing now?
Yeah.
And you said nothing. I'm like, you're right. Right. But when you say, I'm not sure it's going to work, if it was someone else, I was just like guiding you through it. Now it's down to you to practice that for yourself. So you don't need me anymore. You can then practice
Lies,
it.
all lies. I always need you.
Right?
All lies. I always
No,
need you.
you know, it's about though
Yeah.
giving people things that they can do by themselves so that they're not complicated, they work, and they only work if you do them.
Yeah. That's
What was that called again? Shift down and shut up?
Shift out and shut up.
Yeah.
Right?
Shift out and shut up.
Love
Shift
it.
out, shut up. That's what I call it.
Love
And it's just a little teaser of what's, the type of thing that I do with people to help them.
You are amazing. Thank you
So are you.
much for I'll keep going. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for joining us and sharing with us a little bit of your wisdom, a little bit of your story. I mean, there's so much more to your story. We only just touched on it. So I am most certain we'll have you back as a guest again to share with us more wisdom and just learn more about you. But we started this podcast just to talk with people that we love, people we don't know, people we know we're going to love, people we maybe not like. I don't know. You're one of the ones we love.
Thank you.
But,
well, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed this. I can't believe we've been chatting all this time. It feels like 10 minutes.
I know, 50 minutes. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's insane.
It was definitely our pleasure.
Yes. Our pleasure.
And it was my pleasure too. And thank you so much for asking me to come on, even though I wasn't your first guest. I won't hold it against you.
Well, she's our first guest today.
She is. She is.
This month.
My favorite guest today. Smooches. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks again.
Thanks, Shana.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that is so, just that felt good.
He was not getting away without giving us a hack.
I love it. I don't know why you feel you need to lean in to talk. Like you lean in and I can't see the top up. You're like Wilkins from Home Improvement.
There's casters on the chair. Watch this.
Oh my gosh. You're a mental case.
Meanwhile, we're gonna do a session one time. I'm gonna do my favorite thing with you, which you've always consistently refused to do with me, and you know what that is. Don't tell the people what it is.
Well, we're gonna do a live podcast, I think, around Thanksgiving. Well, like a live where we'll be together in the same room and we'll do it.
You want to give them a little teaser?
No, no.
It is about you can control your life, and I think relaxation is the key to getting some of the stress out things. You're a lot stronger when you're relaxed. Unfortunately, we live in a culture which says you do better, you perform better under pressure. I think that's wrong, and I think we can show them a couple of things during that where it's really true how powerful people really are and don't know it.
Yeah,
she was great.
Oh, well, Dad, this was fun as always. Thank you for being a part of the podcast and for jumping on.
You're not getting away with
Oh,
easy.
yeah. Your turn.
Before the
Go
credits
ahead.
roll, we're looking for the little tagline we say at the end so people know who we are. There's a lot of what's my story out there going on. It doesn't look like me, doesn't look like you. So, but are you ready?
I'm ready.
If I could be you, if you could be me for just 1 hour, if we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, just walk a mile in my shoes. And that's it.
All right, there you go. Well, folks, there you have it. That infinite wisdom that I get from my dad. Until next time, that's Shauna's story, and this is What's Your Story? Thanks for
Stay
listening.
tuned for the next one too, kids, because it's getting better every week. Hey, thank you for tuning into today's What's Your Story podcast.
To learn more or share your story, go to jamiemarco.com. That's www.jaimemarco.com. And we will see you next time.